Well, here we go again. Another day, another news event. Well, actually, it happened yesterday. It started to kind of break with more details, anyways. Suncor Energy, the folks, Petro Canada, one of the largest gas retailers in Canada. Apparently, they're like the 48th largest business in the world, $31 billion worth. They got hacked. And that's bad. I mean, it started last Friday. And I know I was into a gas station on the weekend. They were saying, well, the systems were being upgraded. Well, they weren't being upgraded. They were down. You couldn't log into the website to check your points. They couldn't take debit. You couldn't pay at the pump. Lots of stuff happening, and we're trying to be covered up. And what a black eye for them. I mean, it's a hit. But let's face it, they're a $31 billion company. They're going to be able to survive this. And where I'm going with this is maybe reporting on these very large cyber attacks isn't beneficial to the average business owner, the average business person, or the average person. Because you think, hey, they're $31 billion. Yeah, they're being targeted. Or the worse, people starting to think, well, the bad guys are only going after large companies, which isn't the case. Okay, so yes, large companies are specifically targeted. The people that are attacking them are highly sophisticated to find a way in to get in there. You know, with great risks come great rewards, I guess. You've probably heard that saying. Well, that's the case here. So very sophisticated gangs could be targeting them. The sad part is it could have just been an employee clicking on the wrong thing at the wrong time, which caused like a ransomware attack. And I'm going to bet this was a ransomware situation based on how things happened, but we're still waiting to get that confirmed one way or the other, 100%. But back to, yeah, Scott, we're small. No one's going to be targeting us, or nobody wants our data, or this never happens to small businesses. And I think that's where the disservice comes from media. It's not that you're too small. You're just too small to make the news. That's the difference. Because like in any business, we're all trying to leverage technology to grow our businesses, to make things run more efficiently, to do or to get more with less resources. You know, with staffing shortages that we're hearing about and other innovations, technology is becoming more and more business driven. Well, guess what? It is in the bad guys' world as well. They're going to leverage technology to try to make themselves some money, right? The days of someone sitting in a basement somewhere is going, I'm after you, and typing out and attacking just you, they're long gone. I'm writing software, not myself. I'm talking in theory here. If I didn't have any morals and was trying to make a quick buck, the bad guys, which are often businesses, like maybe that's another thing that I should do a big thing on. In my world, we call them script kiddies. Those are the people that are just kind of starting out, don't really know, they're kind of curious, maybe they're young, but they have to rely on other people's knowledge and other people's stuff to go after it. Then we start getting into organized crime, where this is business, big business. But nobody wants to anger a giant that can fund an investigation to go after them. It'd be much easier to steal from a lot of people smaller amounts of money and stay undetectable, keep under the radar, the threshold. The FBI recently had a session down in the States that one of my peers attended. And a few years ago, I was saying that the FBI was very open about it. They wouldn't roll a car or actually send an agent unless the breach caused $250,000 in damage or more. In Canada, they didn't give us a real amount. They just said they're overwhelmed and they just couldn't respond to them all. Well, today, you have to hit a threshold of over a couple $1 million before they'll roll a car and they'll go out. That's how this thing has grown. There's just too much of it happening to smaller businesses, right? You're not too small to be hacked. You're just too small to make the news. And if you keep that threshold under a certain dollar amount, who's going to fund this investigation? Right? So maybe the FBI or the RCMP actually does start to investigate and find out that this attack came from overseas. Now they got to try to get a hold of the law enforcement in that country. who may or may not be responsive, who may have been bribed, who may be protecting the hackers, who may be on the hackers' payroll. You don't know. And that's the problem. The bad guys do. They know how they're setting this up. So they want to stay under the radar. They don't want to upset someone that's got deep enough pockets that can fund an investigation to get them shut down and get caught. So they'll go after smaller businesses. So, yeah, it's bad when I can't go to the gas station and get my gas. It's bad that I was being told it was a systems upgrade when in actuality, they were getting hit for ransom. And do we know if credit card information, personal information has been hit? They're saying no. But it's still early. We don't know the answers to that yet. So yeah, it really sucks when a big company gets hit. But it sucks even more when smaller companies get hit. I end up dealing with a lot of smaller businesses. They get taken for $50,000. We've got one that they got in the email system and they ended up sending the money to the wrong place. So it wasn't just $50,000 they were out. They still owed $50,000 to the original vendor. That was a $100,000 hit to their cash flow line. And listen, if I'm going to spend $50,000 or invest it somewhere, I can think of way better things to do with my money than pay a cyber criminal. But it's not just $50,000. I mean, $50,000 sucks. Don't get me wrong. That is bad news for anybody. I think we can all agree to that. For smaller businesses. But what happens if it was $300,000? $500,000? Yeah, we are seeing those kind of impacts. And we haven't even talked about the remediation costs to fix it, to secure it, to notify people that the breach has occurred, to put credit monitoring in. We're just talking about the initial funds that were gone from an operational point of view. Money that's been stolen or leveraged or had to be paid out for ransom so they get back into data. This is happening all the time. Atlantic Canada, where I'm at, across Canada to the United States, every day, over and over and over, we, people in the cybersecurity field, are trying to get the word out and educate. Like, they're after all of us. You're not too small, you're just too small to make the news. So I feel for everyone that's been impacted by the Petro-Canada, the Suncor Energy cyber attack. Sucks. They'll get through it. What sucks even more are these smaller companies that are getting hit for $50,000, $300,000. We recently worked with a company that had email fraud that defrauded them of over $300,000. We had another company in our area that was running free antivirus, which ended up in something called a keylogger getting on their computer. Long story short, they were out like $258,000. It's happening, folks. And what are you doing to protect your company, protect your employees, protect your livelihood, and to protect that data that your clients have entrusted you with? Are they going to think that you were irresponsible or careless should you get hacked? Probably.